Napoli against Fiorentina. Match week 23 in Serie. It's been a very championship week so far for both sides. Napoli beaten last weekend by arch rivals Juventus in Serie, and they then fouled out of the Champions League in Wednesday. And so Chelsea, 30th place out of 36 teams in the league phase for Antonio Conte's side. So they will be playing in those third part in continental action this season. As for Fiorentina, they lost last weekend at home to Cagliari before then crashing out of the Coppa Italia. Now the hands of Como means we won't have Napoli Fiorentina in the domestic cup quarter-finals. It will be Como and will come here on the 10th of February. Fiorentina still in a very precarious league position in the relegation zone, 18th place, 17 points to their name. They're only one off safety with Lecce probably just above them. Certainly that result last night for Genoa has helped Fiorentina's cause. So winning 3-2 against the Grifone. As for Napoli, an opportunity to see big. They're at home when they have the traditionally very strong record under Conte despite that defeat to Chelsea on Wednesday. But when you consider that all of Napoli's rivals for the Scudetto and Champions League football playing away from home this weekend, with the exception of Como, they need to go to Cremona, Juventus are at Parma, Roma goes to Udine, Milan are at the Dallara to take on Bologna. This is a real opportunity for Conte's side to make a statement, return to winning ways, in general, but also on their own patch. But word with both the skippers from the referee Federico Lapenna. Giovanni Di Lorenzo, who was recognised before kick-off for bringing up 300 appearances for Napoli across all competitions. De Gea, who's inherited the armband from the Luca Nadieni. It's not a set-up this evening. You can understand some dissenting voices in the direction of Antonio Conte. And Napoli expected to do much better in Europe. has thus far been annus horribilis for Napoli. After the pay, have only won 2 of their 8 games since the turn of the year, falling out of contention for the Scudetto and bowing out of the Champions League altogether. It's been a horrid campaign as a whole for Fiorentina, much like their opponents tonight. The Viola are also on the back of 2 straight losses and have spent much of this season in the drop zone. Fiorentina crashing out of the Coppa Italia as well in mid-league. So the pressure's on for both sides here on this Saturday evening in Forlì-Plazza. We are just moments away from live coverage. Napoli against Fiorentina. Risky ball for Solomon, difficult one thing. Fiorentina can't need to get a breather in when they do win the ball back. With somebody did on himself. Dan essentially has a free roll as one of those 2-10s in behind. Pointed. Here's the other one, Elnas. Spinazzola. Finding that, lack of service. Feels he's got the beating of Umbricic. Earthly time. They go up against one another. His ball. Goodmanson has not completely dealt with it. Fiorentina can't get a touch on the ball at the moment. Seriously, one-sided this game. As soon as they get there, until Wednesday, when Chelsea came there and won. No away team that claimed victory at the Maradona 68th of December 2024. That was a win for Lazio. Juan Jesus sticking out point and better from Umbricic, more assertive in defence. Fabian's gone down too easily in time. Gutierrez. Not enough height for the Fiorentina press. It's all just like place, they're going through the motions. Now Wolverhampton, given their current predicament, has to be aggressive. Elnas over the top. Vergara trying to seek out the ball. Mutomade. Too strong for Benchadidi. Gutierrez. Now Di Lorenzo, Hoydens. This knocks just over the line somehow. Fiorentina just about survived. Elmas and Hoyden, some very close range, but more difficult moments these for Fiorentina. De Gea, to his credit, somehow gets it out. Somane. Gutierrez. Interesting McTominay up against Prescianini this evening. Vergara losing the ball. McTominay was actually signed off. The Napoli failed to secure a deal for Marco Prescianini. In hindsight, it's got a fortunate series of events. Prescianini's move to Bergamo didn't quite work out. That's why he's ended up in Florence. Sachioni, the Doda, and Jesus had a nibble at him. And so he finally does blow the whistle. Napoli are unhappy. They thought that the whistle should have been blown before they had the advantage. It was a lengthy one, but to a trip there, Doda, to his credit, tried to stay on his feet and make something happen. Now it's telling the Bobka to keep an eye on Solomon, who's unmarked for the moment. Fiorentina have barely put a third in Napoli's half, let alone inside their box. Fagioli to make something happen here for the set piece. Fagioli's ball in. Deep pulling runs. No. And somehow it's off the post and stayed now. Minute was against there. Piccoli mits it beautifully. Fagioli meantime, Piccoli again. And Sadia did that terrific save for a minute. Fiorentina are wondering how they haven't scored then. First the frame of the goal, and then panics minute. Piccoli's header was superb. Pulled the inside of the post. Fiorentina winning everything at the end, and so early. did everything right. Not sure whether Benetton figured it, Julie. Napoli needed a bit of good fortune, but this was fine goalkeeping from Alex Renee. It was coming to fire in the last two games. The losses against Juventus and Chelsea, but that's Renee back to his best. Didorizza has an issue now. Might have just been called in the face. They could been afforded an injury to Minute, another one. He's only just fit again. He returns to full fitness after Bagni was injured himself. This is a classic Napoli move with Didorizza on the overlap. Corbusto did really well. And then he kicked in against the post, believe it or not. Corbusto blocking away. Just watch this. He kicks it against the post and then it stays out. So both sides have hit the woodwork. That one has been another embarrassing goal for Dietro Corbusto. In the end, it works out as fine defending. Won the winner. So the senior players have clashed heads there. Spinazzola and John Didorizza doesn't ever miss minutes. Didorizza was sent off against Manchester City. Got a rest in the cup, but they never have to do without him. That's why he's wrapped up over 300 appearances since joining in 2019. He saw the Italian scorer, Sacco Modista, and Workaholic. And trying to maneuver the ankle there. Well, they say Piovis with Bagnards will get a rain split pause because Napoli already missing Kevin De Bruyne, Billy Gilmore, Sobokisa, Polizano, Ripsnani, David Neres, Milinkovic Savic, and Madzokin. Looks like the skipper's going to be stretching off as well. Ritz will do everything in his power to continue here. Do have Bertomeu can sit in that position, but the last thing they want is an injury to the skipper. Sportsmanship from Dodar inquiring as to what the nature of the problem is here. Saw Didorizza, we saw kick-off with just there. See, twisted to me is a really serious one. It's when Fabian heads it back across goal. As he landed awkwardly, it seems to puckle. And he immediately holds his left knee. Liverpool was distracted by Menezes, understandably so, but and let's just hope for Napoli and Italy's sake that this is nothing serious. So GD. Once they're getting a steer from the fourth official now, Matteo Martinado. And they are saying that Didorizza has to be replaced, which is a very rare occurrence. And this is hard dealing for everyone, but especially when you consider it, his wife and two daughters with him as well. Just hope he gets the medical attention he needs and swiftly. The Yips in a lot of pain. Napoli would hope to make the change before defending the corner, otherwise it's going to be 10v11. And another loads possible for Fiorentina. Well, again, struck with Paula Bocciatura for Sample Kima. Olivera comes on, can play as part of the back three. The girls to do exactly that now. This means there are three switches in the back there to Napoli. Abel Jogno, Olivera, and Pochesus. Love what Lurker was doing in training. Pitch being overlooked by Compton. Being by Shalidi. Tomine away, then Lobotka. Foyland's after this, but he's got there too. Napoli can counter. Foyland. Good work from Manos Solomon. So 2-1 Tomino. Just as Napoli thought they might be getting Ratnani. Oltre somebody back pass for the Genoa game. Prognosis for Di Lorenzo. Sincer's viewing. It's not optimistic. No, Napoli have a game to try and win here. So keep hold of that proud record of having won every game in which they've taken the lead. Gimeli. Elba Stolcher, 10 yards. 9 meters, as he is Italy. Sacciari with the free kick. The Woods inflicted on. The last touch was off the Bruscia. Fiorentina clearly feel they could get at Napoli in these aerial situations. Goodmanson with the corner. Kossu's tried to beat it. Led by Floyd. Dodor. Pulling on. Away from Gutierrez. Sullivan's cross. But behind Pipewood Jordan. Series of corners here. But of his distance, a good spin in general for Fiorentina. Serie takes equally will be better served looking for a teammate in the 6-yard box. Might be trying that, but to control the header back across goal. After this game, Napoli will get a full week, as they had last season en route to the title. Boylans being pulled over by Povacic. Or has the referee given it the other way? Perhaps Foyda wanted a yellow card. It is a Napoli free kick, but Foyda done happy there was no caution. Saw the Croatian. Marin Umbricic, 10 yellow cards in 28 appearances across all competitions, so frequently in trouble with referees. Napoli, you know what to really kick on to matter the goal from Vergara. Serie early on, 11 minutes on the clock. Gutierrez. Buongiorno back in cross. Still there for Buongiorno. Away by Sabian. Just wonder why Buongiorno didn't do the goal himself there. Yes, it fell to him. Well, he's weak and like that on the volley, but seemed a better option to shiv rather than try and serve. But Tommy dispossessed by Kostas. Leading the press. Umbricic. Pommelso. Dodor. Nice due to the feet of equally. Serie City Becher linking up with colleagues. Vergara wants it from Hoyland. Get the Dane doubles back. Bobby there now. So Punch Jesus is playing at right centre back. They placed it. Di Lorenzo. Buongiorno in the centre of the trio. Gutierrez, McTominay. Popke. McTominay. Quinteros wanted some of the show for it. That home was Hoyden. Company once again certain control over proceedings. Elmas under pressure from Dodor. Elmas has lost the ball. But Napoli get the throw, much to the dismay of the Fiorentina players. As you can see, we have dispensed with the Windsor ball. Behind his back. A sign of Lobgepreit today's in it. To be admitted for Napoli as well. Less so for Fiorentina, given the scoreline. Dosis. Brescianini. Let's bring you up to speed with the earlier result from today. Finished Pisa 1, Sassuolo 3. So Sassuolo with back-to-back victories against Serie sides up from the second tier. Pisa's issues continue. And last night a real thriller in the capital, albeit not many were there to see it. That's your fans on strike. Then we shoot it up against Genoa. Genoa made it to lead Chamit. Penalty in the 100th minute from Danilo Cataldi. Secured. That was a good result actually for Fiorentina. Just checking Genoa's momentum. First touch by Elmas. Fabian too strong for the blocker. Fabian went down to Lizini. Penny Teldenas. Spinazzola. Spinazzola. Vergara took it away from the colleague. He didn't realise it was meant for a player behind him. What he did. Vergara's offside. Vergara verfolgt. Bostis has it here. Gutierrez. The doctor waits on the edge. No Tito Enzo now making those other up and runs. So he went off injured. But someone there. Napoli won't till Saints until they score a second goal. And there they did keep a clean sheet here against Parma and against Sassuolo. Elmas, nice close grip shot, but there's Gutierrez meantime. But somebody Italians and makes the save. Slava colleagues of Manchester United. Lost, gonna be surprised there. But just for a moment, Elmas nearly. So the Napoli fans, what they've been missing from him. And it was a recognition save today. Could be a very different scoreline. Could he say that? Donny off the inside of the post, or had minute, not kept out. 2-0 on the follow-up. Waited by Fagioli. Dawson's. Dodor. So Piccoli. Buongiorno di Rinaf. Spinazzola took no chances. Ponte calls for Cup. Pressing again from Napoli. Those surprises. It was the Bopper that hearted it. Dodor. Sided out. Nice feet from him. And again, not kill the ball to Fiorentina. What Jesus? Is it too much of a hurry? I think so. The latest from Fagioli's lost it now. Vergara. To Hoynet. Hoynet takes it on. Hits the side there too. He's saying there was a touch. There was it. He certainly has good vibes when he comes up against Fiorentina. You always remember his first Napoli goal against the same opponents. Don't think for much about a touch, nor were their fingertips from there. And Serie, having done the initial bit right, was done a little bit too casual. Gibbertson. Too quick for Zubs. He fouled in. And had a yellow card here this evening. Came close to getting one there. Serie. We learned the kickoff times for rounds 25 to 26 coming up in the mid-February towards the end of the second month of the year. Napoli now know they'll play Fiorentina in the 8:45 slot on Sunday the 15th of February. And 3 o'clock the following week in Bergamo against Atalanta. Shamini's ball in, Corson's on marks. Tried to be unselfish, probably could generate the power from that position to really hurt me in Napoli. As for Fiorentina, they go to Como on Saturday, the 14th of February. St. Valentine's. And then it's that Tuscan derby, but Paolo Bononi against Pisa on the Monday at 6:30 the 23rd of February, because Fiorentina would have been in action against Jagiellonia. Polish side they play in the Conference League playoff round. But somebody took the top. Avoided the king, just kept spinning away at the Pomerchins. That's one to keep an eye on. Faccioli. Fiorentina did go close to scoring. But there's 2 opportunities, the peak Colinator and then the Goodmanson or the follow-up, but just haven't had that urgency. Times like this when it's Fiorentina with the relegation zone, especially something wouldn't expect to be down there, where the fans demand desire and commitment. I haven't necessarily seen those strengths from the Viola Sunfar this evening. Looking at too much is going to pay third, but Tomine, who's tempted and he's called by Fabian, and it's a wild challenge. He can understand why he made it. Oh, with that, but his most dangerous players about to let fly. He apologises for what was ultimately a tactical foul for the game. Don't giving it away too easily. The win of a time, they could have tried to play good share, and he's avoided. You don't get many free kick goals in Serie. We did have one last weekend. Zlatan Malinovsky of Genoa. The body language alone. Elmas looks like Ethan sees this more than anyone else. Take JJ's there as a red herring. And Butler's recently ended up 3.5 year goal drought. Surely McTominay adding wonderful. He might get the first dibs on whether to take it. 5 added minutes to compensate for that serious looking knee injury to Giovanni Di Lorenzo. Been there with 3. Elmas, Matombe and Gutierrez. But in the upside, the Macedonian. might be ready to strike this. Shoots it, saw somebody, and they snatched it in. Nicely works. Leaves it good. This is the decoy. Doesn't miss him too many shots of a top of eight. The one against Kangani earlier on this season, the other end of the ground. This one was way below his usual standards. Antonio Conte, 8 full seasons on a club level. And he's finished first or second, and those in 7 of them. The one campaign where he didn't qualify for the Champions League. Ironically, during his time, Chelsea have just knocked Napoli out at the Europe's Premier Club competition. That was 2017-18. So Napoli will be hoping that once again he secures at least the top 4 finish. There's some optimists in the fan base hoping that Bertrand will pay force their way back into the Scudetto compensation. Will need into the slowdown for that to happen. Especially given Napoli have already played it twice. Set 4 points in those days. Toto. Solomon. Fiorentina need to play football in their own halves. Ceding possession far too cheaply. Presumably the new recruits that Fiorentina have brought in have hooked up with the improvement of Sadio Paratici, who doesn't start work until next league. But the likes of Jackson and Sadio Paratici, Solomon, there are plenty of them. Really down to give time, but not Fiorentina season so far. The same as Napoli, really. Little Kidler. Leaving mid-season. Giovanni had it to come in. Sorkas, Addison Santos from Sporting. Some of these spectators are dumping their new daily fitness. The John Hopkins there came across his last. Just still like a slight changing of the guard moment. Napoli were linked with Lorenzo Insigne last week. Super captain, Academy Potter from Santa Maggiore. Now Antonio Vergara, another player from the Settore Giovanile from Santa Linore. Just alongside the Insigne's hometown. 2 goals in his last 2 games. Insigne. Johnny Pescara in the second tier. Voided. I'll be offside from the throw-in, remember? Taking on Komutso. Nebotka. For it to be 5th and final minute added time here at the end of the first half. Olivera hits it. Back up to point and stuff that be, but Olivera well within his rights there. We're seeing set pointed to Napoli second against Chelsea. Next weekend at home to Torino is going to be pivotal regardless of points this evening. Torino 15th on 23 points. Lecce 17 on 18 points. They play against one another tomorrow. But it's their Gallus week. We're right. Stunning goal and the Champions League will be in a losing cause. His first in Serie. Comes just a few short days later. And has Napoli confronted the break. 3rd minute, had to be on his toes. Napoli needed the Premier goal, so did Fiorentina. And half-time score reads Napoli 1, Fiorentina 0. there. Buongiorno, Delgado. So on to lose first touch. Tippetson. Who are the leaders in this Fiorentina side? Who's going to step up for the Viola? The time is needed. This one is up Serie player. I'm on track with that. That's surely no. Hopkins. Livingston needs some help. Godot provides it. I'm going to make to hurry on the top there. That's always the concern. Arts was in the press. Here's Godot. Lovely first touch. It's all forward for Fiorentina. Piccoli has open. Minute with the save. Solomon finishes. And Fiorentina are back in the game. Madel Solomon opens his account for the Viola. But it was all about Godot trotted in on from midfield. That first touch took out two players, Spinazzola and Bocca. Piccoli was denied by Bennett. This time, the goalkeeper could do nothing about the follow-up. One Jesus with a desperate nudge. Madel Solomon. The first goal for the club. They heard the thirst of many since joining on loan from Tottenham. Credit to Fiorentina for not lying down, keeping the save. You need to try and restore. Two-goal push they did. The Fiorentina feel they can equalise. This is Hoyden. Gutierrez was. Can he do it again? This time he doubles back. Bocca. Molina. Spinazzola. Cross for Elmas. Somehow reached the Macedonian there. To stretch it. Sleeve is not safe. Now for Napoli. And so won't be concerned. It's now 8 goals we conceded across the last 4 matches. Clean sheets in that side. Sanini under pressure. That could side to snatch the ball. Sanini's done well. Cobbleso. Solo on the header. Didmanson. Patted into Buongiorno. It's got a really good tussle between Buongiorno and Piccoli so far this evening. Elmas, Hoylands. Again, holding the ball up really well, centre forward. Spinazzola. Elmas calling for it. Snares with Oliveira. Bocca. Elmas. Spinazzola, so it's turned in Hopkins. Couldn't generate power. Super strike the ball into the ground, but again, the ability to turn away from Komricic. Schwert som potent customer Rasmussen. Piccoli. Bonjourno needs to be careful. I think inputs earlier on. Delighting with Italy. This time around there's a Napoli straight dig.
Sullivan spent the first half of the season with Villarreal, and he won 1 goal in 11 games there. Particularly successful spell, but it's already looking more positive in Florence. Ventana sounds and Dragona. Piccoli unable to release pressure, needing Jordi's running off Oliveira. That's himself, he stripped himself. Two for half an hour. He said in both team seasons, if Fiorentina could come some 2-0 down about the champions to get at least a point, they did a real lift from this game, and it 2 straight defeats behind them. Might be able to go on a lot of their road. And Dragona with the free kick. Buongiorno saying it. Solomon can let him only to touch instead of kitchen play. Solomon in by Fagioli. Buongiorno away. And Dragona. Albert Gudmundsson. And Dragona. So Piccoli. Something could do with that. So 5 minutes, straight to Merit Poverty. Napoli started to tie, you can understand. Di Lorenzo, one of those players that's barely at any time off. Same is true but Tomane, and for them to be to do have some time on the sidelines injured, that's true for Bokra as well. But when they're fit, they play. Right, upward. Gudmundsson. Early game. Boston's making a run. Gudmundsson, Dada, hell of a chance, and then won the same kick. Silent spirits beyond his tender years. Punches is avoidance this time. Chasing its causes. Once again is there. That's an option for Serie to share and do it too. Jacopo Fazzini. Todor. It's only for Gudmundsson. Buongiorno, Oliveira. The block is always an option. It's tripped by Dragona. So the team waits to stop. Chidi Lotta a little while for start himself the block here. Just trip it. He was able to extricate himself in tough situations. Mike Gutierrez has an issue. He feels he was tipped by Dawson's.
another look at the goals. Vergara taking his splendid minute. Gutierrez with a wonderful finish to make it just as Conte was celebrating with the Spaniards a few minutes later. Dodon with a fabulous touch. He's then able to release equally. Got to his level best. Samuel was there from the rebound. Now Napoli have won a corner. Let's see Spinazzola. Midway through this second half. Elmas with the corner. De Gea punches clear. Vinicius had to be quick there with Dodon herring onto the ball. Changes of foot possibly for Fiorentina after the introduction. Mandragora. Babocchia. It's a torturous ball to Elmas. Pointed straight in the middle. There he spotted. Well done, Kovacic. Did he need to take a touch? It started from a glorious ball from Babocchia. Fiorentina has been fouled many times. Fiorentina would have been back to square one there had Hornet scored. Kovacic. Goodmanson. Dodon with space to move into. Dodon. Leave it away. Alpabuzzo. Punches his Babocchia. Boylan's on the outside. Sono turned the pry. Boylan's. Vergara now. Gutierrez in the channel. Vergara stepping away. Gutierrez. Excited again. Styling was a spell. Spinazzola pounces on the loose ball. No doubt players on both sides beginning to flag, particularly the Napoli ones. 10 of those players starting Wednesday's game in the Champions League. Pointed round the corner. Elmas couldn't get their header down. Well, can see Lucaradieri shortly. That means Fiorentina go to a back three or back. Tina Comusso, Pobricic being withdrawn. Goodmanson, a peak cutting. And again. Keep playing. Mandragora. Dodon. Mandragora. Trying to stick in Solomon near a channel. Triple change to Fiorentina. You can see why Pobricic is unhappy now with Vergara to going down with these today. So Moise Kean is its top scorer for the Viola. Fiorentina withdrawn. Canadieri is another new face in the third. I'm about to see. Sapiano Parisi sits again. The hails for this region. Ipinian, Adelino, Campanian. Solid on problem soft, having grabbed his first Fiorentina goal. Some fresh lanes for Fiorentina. Own response to Napoli, Lamona. Boydens. Only there now. Somebody finding Vergara. Spoken to Babocchia. Well, Verdana needs to toughen up. Far too often he's turning to the referee, looking for the match official to blow the would be very cheap free kicks. And Tomine. Good to see Kim sitting in. Might not necessarily have 90 minutes in his legs. That's why he's only come on now with 20 to play. Vergara. Lubotka. Tomine. Too strong into Sajori. Vergara. Gutierrez. Well, pretty getting a breather in by keeping possession. It's that Olbis trick in the bird. Right. Let the ball do the work. That Tomine. Vergara now waiting for Gutierrez to arrive. Vergara. Tomine. Elmas had made an intelligent run. Gutierrez again slowing the ride down. Lobotka, Spinazzola in space. Now Oliveira. Too high for Vergara. Parisi runs it clear. Hardy Davis pitched in. Makes some work for the in. Ranieri. He putting his chase. Easy enough for Borjolo to step off and head it home to Menet. Now we're to have another goal in this game. Matias Oliveira. Gutierrez. That's what we're told, but he had time to turn. Vergara, Gutierrez. So 5 minutes. Orchard wins that in. I thought Jordi. Fiorentina still keen on a couple of sets about Subsidet. The transfer window closes on Monday, and Pierre has had been looking at Diogo weights. Portuguese defender looks like he's off to Lazio, but still very keen on Radan Rashid, though they saw in the past in Serie. For Genoa. Sajoni heads after it. He's brought it down. Voice it out yet the post. He was offside. It wouldn't have counting, but he did so well from that position. The first touch restored us. The angle was against him. It was tight, but Ken was indeed offside. Good vision from Sajoni. The sort of Juventus players linking up, and I'm also getting there. Fiorentina can take courage from that. Bob is still cutting a frustrated figure, injured in the stands. I think it's just wondering, sort of curious has hit that body this season. This Paco Mazzocchi with the shades, or the shades of the Altis, the Spix. Gutierrez. Easy. A little bit soft there. The referee saw it as a foul as well. The hand needs to be cautious here. So over there to find Piccoli. And Toba is too aggressive from behind. Such Charlie starting to hit lots of long balls. It's a nice postural switch to Dodor. Two with some more time and space. Now into the channel. Boyce Ken. And that pushes it behind. Ken already showing his potency. He'll opportunities. One hit the post, albeit he was offside. This side was onside, and it's and this near post counter. Needed to push it behind. We'll try it with the corner. Piccoli, smash shot. Piccoli away from punches. Melman Tragonov, only better with the block. Napoli swinging on over Fiorentina really feel they can equalise here. And a little bit good value for 11 at Pombricic, Fagiani, Dodo. Given away by Goodmanson. Parisi played the pole, the data needs to get up. Technically head injury for Dada, but might have just been caught by a straight man. Needs to get back up and not defends. This is Fabiano Parisi. Here's you 4 minutes. The path from Sadio Vergara is not the way to win friends and influence people. Federico Apena saying, I'll flow as and when it's necessary. But he has a point there. Tarek screaming out of Dada's nose. Do they now review the foot shoots? Possible elbows of Parisi. But take it all back, Vergara. So really painful elbow to the face. Bleeding from his nose, but unfortunately, his reputation precedes him. It's a case of the boy with fired balls. He come down very easily earlier on several occasions in this match, which is why the referee didn't really get too much credence to his appeals there. This was Oliveira's block his left knee to keep out Dragona. Time punch up at Gardner. Wanted to change his shirt. It's good part of me. Spading to the neck wide. That is bleeding. So Goodmanson makes way for Fassini. And Giannis back amongst us. By Oliveira. Holding it up and holding off Calypso, but Domine did not flies. Napoli had made just the one change. And Leicester again, it was an enforced switch. Di Lorenzo suffered a serious knee injury. Pauli Dana coming on St. Ian. On signs, it's the Maitsuf. Berkema, Giovanni, Mikatu. Oliveira's going forward. Boyden making a stick. Now they've got lots of room to head. They've got it was meant for Hoyden, but somebody got his way. Dodo. Odieni. Dodo comes down too easily. They've got Hoydens. Gutierrez. Advantage Napoli, the Popka. Spinazzola now. How to get Dodo? Spinazzola. Pointed got his head to it. Didn't come so flat ahead. Parisi. Piccoli. Away from Gutierrez. touch only now. The puck wins it back. Gutierrez. McTominay. Along by Minette. This time to look up to the initiative, got in ahead of Boyland. Parisi was trapped. It's looking like 3 straight predictions of the team, unless they can come up with another goal. We saw the end here. And to the final tail for the Hilton. Boys again. Samen bij Oliveira from behind. Dodo. Vanieri. Parisi to Gikore, but job got there. Boyland is up on reserve though. Goal scores plus Hoyland on the full-man shoulders for player of the match. Giovanni on the way for Napoli. Duplicate his Teddy very briefly. That's the bench in that scene on loss. Juventus. Play of the Champions League and wasn't part of the UEFA squad list. To tip against Juventus despite he never watched you at training, so that's the first time he's ever done that in his career. Leeds must. The data presents it for. She might be getting some tactical instructions. He is familiar with Serie, having had half a season with Verona. Giancarlo still feeling dizzy after that elbow to the face. What the that's coming off, and would make sense. You're having tunnel break in behind the front man. This was still playing a starring role rather as to see this goal that half the deficit. So then also Repiana score against Chelsea. Well, target again tonight against Fiorentina. Mr. Chevers round with applause from Maradona. And Giovanni hits his first taste of the Maradona as a Napoli player. Giovanni did speak in the lead up to this game. So these tips of legendary Brazilian player for Napoli, Serie, said to be Serie was part of that. Napoli trio, Najica, Maradona, Bruno Giordano, Tameka. And they also had the stadium chant, Kame, tira la bomba, tira la bomba. Basically, unleash a bomb. Put him on a shot of doors. Deve ser para Chick. Sit. It's a match. was quite a funny moment there. The two managers said, Alberto, if you don't book anyone, then there's no deterrent for committing fouls. And they're aware that the referee's actually called Federico Lapena. So exactly the same sentence, albeit with Federico as the subject. And interestingly, the guard actually, nicely pitched to me, was addressed by the referee in English before he said, Prima cosa sono italiano, first and foremost I'm Italian, so speak to me in my native tongue. Certainly the sitting with Shuffle, the Madrid started doing the rounds on social media. That Dragona, Jota, hit off the cross. Fagioli, said challenged by Juan Jesus. Giovanni wanted it. Instead of Brazilian didn't try and release it. Juan Jesus is running down the blind alley now. Only to now release McTominay. Boyden's there with him. McTominay still going. McTominay. Deflection made it upward through the air, but he gets it out. Parisi's lost the ball. Gutierrez. Giovanni. Possession is Napoli's friend at this stage of the match, leading as they do by 2-1. Try and run down the top as much as possible. Toward the next minute. It's judged by Elmas. Foul by Napoli on Fagioli. McTominay's there, third match try to do enough to help out there, without on-switching him. Fiorentina still alive there, they believe in it, they equalise up. It's part of the pressure on Conte, Napoli. Fagioli with the free kick. Monchoma heads it away. So too does Gutierrez, Fazzini. Equally, he's had a good game. Gutierrez helping out Spinazzola. Now Boyden wants him to try it forward. Giovanni's there at support. Boyden starts again. Now Giovanni. Boyden turning away, trying to get Camuso. Fagioli, Fazzini, Tomine on the 50-16, and again, what a player. Oliver, Fiorentina back off the Uruguayan. Elmas now. Elmas. Gutierrez arrived there. This is Giovanni, was goal bound, Maggiani was brave, corner to Napoli. Certainly did it really, really strong in it for the Brazilian. Very brave from Luca Maggiani, caught his back and flew over. Time set up and look at Big Rock. 2025-26 season. Ireland has worked very hard once again. When you talk about him, he could have scored Juventus. This just kick off the Hoyden playing friendly. Had a chance against Chelsea, which was kept out by Robert Sanchez. Sooner or later, he will be fit again and shortly back amongst the goals. His career is testament to that. 4 added minutes now. Last season's top scorer, Lukaku. Ian McTominay, the goal scorers. I'm soon over the candidate to seal the fourth Scudetto. considered keeping it in the corner. Wasted time correctly there by actually sending it to the middle. Gutierrez with the set piece. Dodorway, Mondragona to Faccioni. Has to take a detour. Umbridge. Elmas working hard. Doda. Parisi. Maradona trying to help out now with the cheers and whistles. Doda. 3:17 Hertz. What it takes. Few indications that whenever the start of play. 18, just 17 points in 22 matches. He pursued equalising here in added time. In 40 minutes, Doda and Dragona showing trade. And Dragona with a dangerous ball in. Portugal no way. Left by Parisi. Fagioli. Pabuzzo. That's with Doda. Heating it is now. Too high to get. Nittoli. Big shots. He wants a penalty, but all he needed to do was connect properly to him. And he hit the target. Roberto Piccone, we might be talking about the ball the 82 early, gone away from Giovanni. Did strike it anyway, and did give me enough. Shouldn't see them though, what a good opportunity that was. Piccone scored in 2 of his last 3 games. After one year in the league, early on, they were tough against Turbo, albeit had him in that thing with 3-1 loss for Fiorentina. Sazzini wins there, then away by Bocciotto. Looks on the net. Piazzolla. 2017 win back possession at the final minute of added time here. 1 by minute. Lukaku attacked him. That's Mondragona. Piccoli in Wells on the ball. Van Jesus. Milsao. Giovanni. Gutierrez getting forward to offer an option. Giovanni gliding away from Fagioli. Jesus, McTominay, Lobotka. Lobotka and Capri. This is Gutierrez. Napoli have nearly got the job done. Giordani. Sanchoni wins Zupa. With 10 seconds of added time, Fiorentina has to hold on them quickly. Who wants it in here? Gutierrez hits it clear. Sanchoni, what a pill that is for Kenyon. Still there, but Moise Kenyon needed to control it additionally. That's what made the chance harder, and he missed the ball. Sanchoni with a Hollywood pass, and Ken got that out of his feet. Wanted talking about a different story, and then had it covered. And all the disappointing. Sorry now, 1 minute clearance, that will be done. Napoli here return to winning ways. They've got once more on the score sheet as the champions get the better of Fiorentina. They're into 3rd place ahead of Roma's game later on this weekend. They're match within 6 of the summit, just 1 behind Milan in 2nd. So Fiorentina 3 defeats in a week across all competitions. They stay in the drop zone despite the brave second half display. It ends at the Maradona. 22, Fiorentina 1.